Transforming your life with hypnotherapy just got easier with your host, Julie from coachinghypnosis.net.
Welcome to Coaching Hypnosis in the Green Reawakening series, where consciousness meets couture and elegance walks hand in hand with ethics. I'm your host, and this week we wade into the deep waters of philosophy, psychology, and that most graceful of rebellions, eco-living. Today's episode is titled Environmentalism Without Martyrdom because, quite frankly, saving the planet does not require sackcloth, self-denial, or fiery acts of protest. What it requires is discernment, restraint, a sense of proportion, and above all, taste. This is your invitation to live thoughtfully, to act wisely, and preserve not only the planet, but your own joy, beauty, and mental spaciousness. The old narrative is familiar. To be a true environmentalist, you must suffer. You must go without, apologize for your comforts, and offer your joy as sacrifice upon the altar of a melting ice cap. But I propose another story, a more refined one, an elegant rebellion. Environmentalism, when aligned with intention, is not about punishment. It's about realignment, not suffering, but discernment. Consider the psychology. Martyrdom is seductive. It makes one feel significant, yet often it conceals burnout, unprocessed grief, or the desire to control. True, lasting change does not come from guilt. It comes from clarity, from self-respect, and dare I say it, from style. In the realm of psychology, a martyr complex describes a recurring pattern of self-sacrifice wherein an individual habitually places the needs of others above their own, often at the expense of their health, happiness, and personal vitality. It is rarely altruism. Rather, it is frequently guided by an unconscious desire for recognition, significance, or validation through the spectacle of suffering. The paradox is exquisite. The martyr perceives themselves as helpless, even victimized, yet consciously situates themselves in circumstances of strain or overgiving. Occasionally, they may accentuate their burdens to evoke sympathy, admiration, or subtle sense of moral superiority. What appears as nobility is, in truth, a delicate masquerade, a cycle of exhaustion and resentment cloaked in virtue. This archetype stretches beyond the personal psyche into the military and cultural imagination. The martyr has long been lauded as the one who offers all, even life itself, for a cause. In certain extreme cases, individuals with fervent ideological or religious convictions may even welcome suffering or self-denial as proof of devotion. The sacrifice becomes deliberate, celebrated, and even framed as a higher calling. Yet, the psychological mechanics remain. The self is subordinated, and acknowledgement, whether spiritual or social, becomes a reward for enduring hardship. However, when transposed into daily life, whether in family, career, or environmental stewardship, this posture becomes corrosive. Battlefield heroism or extreme ideological acts do not translate into a sustainable model for tending one's home, one's body, or the planet. And this, precisely, is the reimagining we propose, a shift from environmentalism as theatre of suffering to environmentalism as theatre of refinement, not the performance of pain, but the cultivation of proportion, discernment, and grace. True commitment does not demand self-immolation, it flourishes in elegance, intention, and mindful action. Think of it this way: to live sustainably is not unlike curating a wardrobe. You do not need 100 garments. You need the few that are exquisite, well chosen and harmonious. The same applies to life. A single coat of fine wool, worn season after season, carries more luxury than a dozen forgettable pieces. A kitchen sparse but intentional offers more calm than one cluttered with excess. Minimalism, at its essence, is a form of mental hygiene, consuming less with grace, not deprivation. It is clarity, it is power, and yes, it is chic. Coaching tip: pay attention to your body's response. Does your nervous system soften when your wardrobe is refined, your home pared back to the essentials? Does your energy lift when the air smells of beeswax and cheddar rather than synthetic lavender? That is your somatic compass. Trust it. In hypnosis, we speak to the unconscious, not to punish it, but to redirect it, to install preferences that honour both elegance and peace. This is not about doing less, but about wanting less, discarding the superfluous and surrounding yourself only with the finest sustainable luxury. And that, darling, is the purest form of freedom. The earth does not need martyrs. It needs people in love with their own lives, people whose daily pleasures are symbiotic, generous, beautifully restrained. And here's the subtle brilliance. When you cultivate this inner ease, you become more present, more grounded, and ultimately easier to talk to. Isn't that precisely what you want? To share your passion for the environment with others in a way that inspires rather than alienates? So let us reframe environmentalism not as sacrifice, but as curation, a wardrobe of choices that fit, a pantry of foods in season, sheets dried in the sun, a home with air that breathes. These are not losses, they are luxuries. As you step back into your day, your wardrobe, your pantry, your week, remember this: you are not here to prove, you're here to align, to curate, to rebel, yes, but gracefully. This is environmentalism without martyrdom, elegance as activism, taste as philosophy, and joy as your quiet, unwavering form of resistance. Until next time, choose wisely, breathe deeply, and let your life be a whisper of what's possible, not a scream of what's wrong. Mindfully yours, Julie.